That's all.
Wow, that was scary. For a second there, I thought, I don't know. I mean, Boney was like a ghost, and there was no intro to the show, which was really kind of spooky. This is a scary show today. We're ending Paranormal Week, and of course, as you know, it's been a little terrifying at times. Paranormal Week, but I think we can get through this because we have one more day. We got a beautiful blue sky behind us. I wore this cat shirt here. It's a cat with a cat shirt on. So I look like Jesus up in the sky. I do look a little like Jesus with the kitty. So yeah, so if you ever get too scared in the show, just look at the kitty cat and everything will be fine. Today we're going a little bit deeper into the paranormal, into the into the ghosts, essentially. I've got some ghost stories here from Shannon Hile, who's our guest here. She's a filmmaker. We talked about her yesterday a little bit, and in her movie The Intervention and what happened on that. And then we also have the comedian Harlan Gleeson coming on to tell us some creepy stories. But first, we have to breathe. So, in through the nose, out through the toes, as they say. Hold it. Let it out. It's good to see Joe Thornton here. Cult of the Hummingbird wants to know, how do I fix my crepey skin? Well, you know, I'll help you out with that. Hummingbird. I didn't know hummingbirds had crepey skin. All right, breathing in. Holding it. And letting it out. Pam Palmieri says, I think you can take a picture of a ghost. We're going to explore that early on in the show today. And we'll see if Pam is correct. Cats are devil spawn and very scary. Hoy, it's Friday. It is, it's Friday. Yeah, I wondered if some people would think cats are scary because, you know, my cat clawed the crap out of my face last week. So they can be scary, but you just got to stay behind them because they can't really. They're not good at reaching behind them. So one more breath. And this is going to be an important one because we're moving into pictures. We're moving into some scary stuff. There are going to be possibly some pictures of ghosts, but we'll have to discuss whether they're real or not. So here we go, in through the nose. Hold it. And let it out. Okay, we're going to cleanse our palate a little bit by watching a grizzly bear in a tub. Friday. Here it is. Okay, so here's a grizzly bear in a tub playing with the hose. We have a little pool in our backyard that the raccoons jump into. And last night they just threw everything everywhere. There was a hat on our porch, and apparently they tried it on a bunch of times. It got all squashed. There's no Twitch. Twitch is not live today for some reason. So if anybody was planning on going to Twitch and watching the show, no Twitch. Just go to YouTube or Facebook. Cats see dead people like in The Sixth Sense. I think that was kids. Kids see dead people. Maybe they do, though. You know, there's that movie with Keanu Reeves where he plays some kind of a hunter of some sort of the paranormal, and they say that ghosts, he says ghosts, you know, are like have one foot in another dimension, which is something that I want to talk about with you guys because that could be what's going on with the ghosts. Okay, that's the bear. That's the bear for today. You know, maybe the ghosts are in another dimension and they are somehow stepping in, or maybe they're in another time period even. They're stepping in, but we're gonna look into that. But first, I found this great site called Pocket-Lint, Pocket-Lint. And apparently it's just a site about gadgets and cameras and all this stuff, but they had some incredible pictures of ghosts. And I don't even know if I were to go back to Pocket-Lint if they would even be there, because these are pretty horrifying. The raccoons, back to the raccoons bit into the tubes of oil paint. Kamala had oil paint on the back porch that she left there, and now there's orange paint on the floor. So raccoons, I don't know, they're kind of trouble, I think. They are trouble, but they sure are cute. And as we found out last week, some people call them trash pandas, which I don't recommend that. Trash pandas. Pandas are cool, so maybe it's a compliment. And they do go in the trash, but they are definitely related to the bear family. That's what I think. So I'm stalling because this is going to be scary. Here we go. First, real ghost pictures are coming your way. I'm in the up balloon here because I'm scared. I'm going to start tearing up soon. And well, this is great. John Townsend is here. So Kirlian Photography, that's probably the Pocket-Lint people, I'm guessing. Or Kirlian Photography, is that maybe photography of ghosts? I don't know. Clarify, John, because I am interested. Raccoon art. Wait a minute. There we go. Hey, trash people. Love trash pandas. Oh, I'm not going to say that word. Screw the elites. Simply Ranking is here on Twitch, so I guess Twitch is working. Wasn't working for a little while. That was my fault, I think. Simply Ranking says, with that serene background, you look like a savior rescuing me from hellfire. I like it. That's the way this show is. We're rescuing people from hellfire. Mary had an oil paint set in the attic that rats ate. So much rainbow poop. Rats, animals love paint. Enough stalling. Let's get into the first picture. Here we go. So this is a picture of Goddard Squadron from 1919. And the weird part is there's a guy pictured, and they have it little in the inset here. That guy pictured apparently walked into a propeller days before the photo was taken and died. And yet there he is in the picture. I don't know. Seems kind of possibly real. Down by the Riverside Club says, have you ever been in contact with ectoplasm? Well, I don't know. I don't think so. Brown lady. So this is a photo taken of the brown lady. It's considered to be an actual photographic evidence of ghosts, because they have people look at these things and really analyze whether it was like a double exposure or something like that. This was taken at Raynham Hall in Norfolk, in England in 1936. There had allegedly been many sightings of the figure before this photo, and it's said that it's the ghost of Lady Townsend. Isn't that wild? John Townsend was just on. There's something eerie about that. She was locked in a room in the hall by her husband when he found out about her infidelity and left her there to die. And so she's haunting the place. It's getting a little scarier. There's a picture of a boy ghost in a scene of 3 men and a baby, remember? I don't remember that one. Let me see. There's that one. Oh, I don't know. We got to check that out, Todd. The set was haunted. Joe Thornton says, no way. Sure, you can say that word when you say Norfolk. Oh, Norfolk. Exactly. It has its own built-in swear word. Newbie Church. Now, this kind of looks like the Scream guy. If you see him, standing there. But some analysts think this photo, this is also in England, is a fake because the character looks to be posing too much. However, Reverend K.F. Lord, that's a good name for a reverend, right? Insists that there was nothing visible to the naked eye when he took the photo. And I mean, he's a man of the cloth. I don't think he'd be lying, but that's pretty spooky looking. So yeah, so anytime you want to, curse, just say Norfolk. Why are there no conjoined twin ghosts? I'm sure there are. I mean, let's face it. Maybe there's somebody who was conjoined and then they separated them and then one of them died and then that's a ghost. That could be. Tulip staircase. Okay, this one says this photo was taken inside the National Maritime Museum in Greenwich, England. Clearly shows a ghostly figure holding the handrail of the tulip staircase. Photo experts have all agreed that it hasn't been tampered with, so it's considered a genuine example of a ghost's existence. Check that out. That seems pretty real to me. Joe Thornton is from Norfolk, but it's in Virginia. Yeah, we spent some time there in Norfolk. Search up the Screaming Woods in the UK. Oh, that's good. We're going to search that up. Thanks, Sales Empire. Follow us on Twitch. The famous Amityville ghost, 1976. Look at that little boy. Now there's an I See Dead People little boy. This one really actually terrifies me. When I look, if we were not in the middle of the day at lunch therapy and I was looking at this, I would be terrified by that. This is one of the photos that inspired the Amityville horror books, and of course the movie. They call it Norfolk. Norfolk. Still has the swear word in there a little bit. Simpy Ranking says, why are there no ghosts in the wild? Also, why are there no high-def photos of ghosts? It's a good point. Maybe they stay away from the high-def. Okay, one more. Waverly Sanatorium, 2006. So this is kind of modern, depending on how old you are. You see the woman there. It was snapped in an abandoned tuberculosis hospital in Louisville, Kentucky in 2006. A lot of people died in that hospital. The eerie image apparently depicts Mary Lee, a nurse who hung herself in the hospital. Story goes, the woman was impregnated by a doctor who worked in the hospital, but he didn't want to have anything to do with her. See? Behind me, I have Edith Wharton's estate, place that I lived in for a while when I was in the Berkshires. And we'll talk about this later, but in the cupola at the top, they say that a woman hung herself similarly, possibly, I think, because of a pregnancy as well. And she still haunts the place, along with many other ghosts. It's one of the most haunted places in the country, apparently. Let's see what Sales Empire says. You're a man who has the biggest balls. What person can just look at this sheet? I'm not sure what it means, but it's interesting. It's definitely interesting. I love that. Okay, this is a good question, Simpy Ranking. Why are ghosts so eerie and just hang around haunted places? If I were a ghost, I'd be a happy ghost and just stroll around in public places. Well, one of the things that we've kind of realized is that it seems like the best thing for a ghost is to hang out in a crowded area, like a club or a theater or a house where people are coming in and out a lot, because it's more fun. Otherwise, you're just kind of standing around. I mean, it'd be a lot of downtime, a lot of waiting. There we go. And people want to take away the birth control. Women were being impregnated and killing themselves constantly. It's a good point, because that was also what they said about the Comedy Store, was that they had a back room abortion place in there, and because it was illegal and people were dying, and there were 2 ghosts from that. This is now we're moving on to our guest, which is Shannon Hile. And this is going to be about, they filmed this movie, The Intervention, and they all stayed in the Glen Tavern Inn, which is in Santa Paula, California. And this is an actual picture of a ghost in the Glen Tavern Inn. I'm going to disappear for a second. You see? That's an actual, maybe it's high def. I don't know. It doesn't look like it. But they were making the movie The Intervention, which is a very scary movie. They didn't shoot it actually in the hotel. And there were all these stories about the ghosts. you know, you'd be like in your room and then all of a sudden, bang, 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 somebody would knock on the door and you'd be like, ah, and you get up and you open the door and there'd be nobody there. It's supposed to be one of the most haunted places. So I got Shannon Hile on here to talk about it. And we're gonna bring her on right now. Here she is. Hey, Shannon, how's it going?
It's going good, Joel. Thank you. How are you?
I'm pretty good, you know, just getting by. It's great to see you.
It's nice to see you too.
Thanks for coming on the show. And I hear that you have a paranormal story to tell us.
I do. And actually mine's really kind of Hollywood cool.
Oh, great.
I was part of I was founding member of a theater company called the LA Art Theater. And that was the early 90s. And it used to be a mortuary.
The theater used to be a mortuary.
Yeah, it was a funeral home. So the front stage was where they used to have the viewing of the bodies, and that was where the seating was. And then we had a second stage, and that's where they used to park the hearse.
Wow.
And then where all the dressing rooms were, I guess is where they prepared the bodies.
Really?
Yes. Now, the cool thing was Lou Costello from Abbott and Costello.
Yeah.
He was, prepared there.
Really?
Yes, in the 50s when it was his funeral home.
Yeah.
And so we used to refer to our entity as Lou because we don't,
Yeah.
He sometimes showed up in kind of aura, whoever this was. It always, honest to God, it was almost like followed the normal paranormal rules. It would get colder. We'd be in a room. We'd get colder, and you could feel then the hair kind of go up on your body. And sometimes the electricity would turn off by itself, and then it would turn on. But the freakiest story was, as an actor, we were doing a streetcar named Desire. And we were all on stage, and the lights kind of flicked. And all of a sudden, I see one of the actors who is playing Pablo, who's at the card table, and he's just like white as a ghost and looking up. And we all kind of turn around and up on the staircase where, they do, the Stella.
Yeah.
We see this thing.
You're kidding.
He's got a brown suit on. He's got a hat. Dressed kind of formally, and for just maybe 2-3 seconds, it was like a full-blown man.
That's so
usually where we see auras, but this time it was like
was it in the middle of the show?
In the middle of the show.
Did the audience see this too?
The light guy said he saw it.
Really?
Was back in the booth. I don't know if anybody else knew that it was supposed to be an actor or something.
Right. Or maybe, and like everybody's directed, because in a play you're kind of looking in one area where the actors are, and so if they see something like that's in a different area on the stage, you might not see it if it was just there for a second. This same thing happened. I was doing Shakespeare at Edith Wharton's estate in the Berkshires. And there was a story, they used to do her adaptations of her books in the salon in the place. And apparently during one performance, a man appeared in a suit and said, "What is going on here?" Like that, and then disappeared. So it's like something that happens.
And that's why we always refer to it as Lou, because we thought, maybe Lou Costello was like, hey, it's a theater, it's,
right.
Play, it's that energy that he was attracted to. But a lot of sightings, and a lot of actors saw a lot of sightings at the place. Yeah. It was cool, though.
That is cool.
Unless you were alone at night.
It's scary.
Closing up the place.
I found myself at Edith Wharton's mansion, shutting it down at night in the middle of winter, turning off all the lights and being really scared. But I'm scared of ghosts. Like, I don't want to see them. So I never saw anything. I feel like maybe if you don't want to see them, you don't see them. I don't know. Or maybe some people are more sensitive to ghost sightings than others, or I don't know. But I really did not want to see anything. And if there was something to be seen, I wasn't going to be looking. Because I think I'd just jump out of my skin.
I prefer to be in a group. I certainly wouldn't want to see anything alone. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Because it does creep me out. But if I'm in a group, then, then it's kind of, exciting.
That's
a little bit. Yeah.
Well, thanks, Shannon. Thanks for sharing your story. It's very macabre and creepy. So I guess they hang out in theaters. And to Joe Thornton's comment, the abortion thing was in Ciro's, apparently, allegedly in Ciro's nightclub, which was there in the 40s and 50s before the Comedy Store was the Comedy Store, but the ghosts still haunt there at the Comedy Store. So Shannon, that's weird, like that you'd be in this play and all of a sudden the person would appear. But the other weird thing was Shannon was like, I had called her to talk to her about the Glen Tavern Inn, and I remember her telling story after story about the ghosts when she was staying there, filming The Intervention. And now, I ask her again about it. She has no recollection. Wow. Okay, I want to ask you really quick, too, about the hotel that you were staying in and during the making of the movie and The Intervention.
Yeah, now that was...
Do you remember that at all?
What I remember about the hotel, it was like there was a room up on like the second or third floor, and I can't remember because it's been a few years. But there was that one room, and of course, the crew wanted to stay up there. The actors, we were all like, no, we're going to stay on the bottom floor.
Yeah.
But no, the crew guys, they were like, I'm staying up there.
And somebody would pound on the door or something like that, and they'd open.
Yeah, they definitely heard noises.
That's a haunted hotel in...
It is in Ojai.
Ojai.
Yeah. And so they claim to have seen stuff.
So you've seen more than one ghost, or at least you've...
That one I didn't see.
You didn't?
That one I was...
It never knocked on your door?
No. But there were people, yeah. And again, you don't know how much of it is the crew doing stuff.
Right, that's true.
But the people who ran the hotel had stories, and they constantly saw stuff.
See? The ghost, wiped the memory from her mind. And, I mean, maybe that's something ghosts do. I don't know. Can they get into our head like that? Solace Empire says, it is hard to believe that I have never seen a ghosts. I have never seen a ghosts either. Edith Wharton's estate. So I was there for a year or more. And I was looking around to see if anybody else remembered that there were, the place was haunted. And it turns out there was a whole Ghost Hunters episode about it.
So entertain her closest friends, people like Henry James, the writer. Unfortunately, her husband, Teddy Wharton, was very severely bipolar, and by 1911, the marriage was broken down, and so she sold the house. And then after that, it was owned by a couple of private owners, and then it was part of a girls' school, and then a theater company came in called Shakespeare and Company.
See?
And it's now
like a real
house
thing.
museum that's open to the public.
I'm not making this stuff up, guys.
Why don't we go upstairs to the terrace?
This show is fake. Laughing my ass off is what Cynthia Rankin
So what goes
says.
on out here?
But listen.
The Shakespeare and Company was here. They would use this for performances. One of the stories we have is that there was a performance going on.
For some reason, I just stopped in front of this window, and I was holding my jaw, and literally, my jaw dropped because there was this man standing there, completely opaque,
I had the same
dressed
story.
in this turn-of-the-century top coat, and he said,
It's real,
"What
Solace
is
Empire.
all this commotion?"
I mean, simply ranking.
The play was going on, so I wanted to scream, and I looked back, and he was gone.
It's a good
I
question.
wondered who this was, and I was looking through one of these books on Edith Wharton, and I realized it was one of her lovers, Morton Fullerton.
So where to now?
So now we'll go to the butler.
So that was Morton Fullerton just showing up on stage going, what the heck's going on? It makes you wonder if he jumped in time somehow and just appeared. And all of a sudden, like, you know, he pierced the veil of time somehow. And now all of a sudden here he was. And it makes you wonder, like, somewhere in the future, are you maybe changing your clothes in the middle of a huge ballroom or something like that? Because you're here now and somehow I don't know. That'd be embarrassing, wouldn't it? I like what Salas Empire said. This is also professional. Well done. How aren't you blown up? Well, I don't know if I want to blow up, but it's great to see Cade Alexi here. Definitely we'll do some explosions later on. Not today, of course. Edith Wharton Estate, where he did Shakespeare and Company. That's right. That's what that is. The Edith Wharton Estate. It's haunted. Look at Simpy Rankling. I got to look at this before we get to Harlan Gleeson. So why are there no animal ghosts or plant ghosts or fungi ghosts? What's so special about us humans that we seem to have some random ghost in a random house? That's a good question. Blowing up all over the internet. All right, I got to go because I got to move on to Harlan Gleeson. He has a story. Harlan Gleeson is a comedian here in Los Angeles. Plays all over town, Comedy Store. When it's not haunted, he is afraid of ghosts. Harlan, are you there? Hey, Harlan.
Yo,
how's it going?
It's going amazing. Thank you very much. Really nice to be here, Joel.
It's great to see you. Harlan and I have known each other for, I don't know, 20 years.
Closing in on 20 years, yeah.
Yeah, a long time. We met under hilarious circumstances, I think we were learning martial arts when we met.
Yeah, Wing Chun.
We were doing some Wing Chun. And right. Which would be cool if we were good at it, but we trained a lot.
We did.
At the time.
We had a regular sesh.
But it was a real bonding kind of thing. And we've been friends ever since. And Harlan is a comedian here in Los Angeles.
Yep, I tried.
And and his dad was an actor in Los Angeles as well.
Yes.
And he grew up in Koreatown here.
Yep. K-Town,
and he's
loco.
a real mainstay of the Los Angeles area. So I want to hear some paranormal stories because I'm sure you have some.
I do. I have a few. I'll start with where I grew up. I grew up in Koreatown at one of these big Craftsman House, 225 South Kingsley Drive.
If anybody wants to visit there, that's where.
There you go.
There you go.
You're welcome to. There's a lot of tough guys around there, so I'm not really worried about anything.
Yeah, really.
Wonderful house. 10 kids in the family. My oldest brother and my then next oldest brother lived in the back house. It was a converted garage. The day came when the teenagers, my brother Reynard and Rufus, my older brother, who moved back there, and they were like spending their first night in the garage. In the morning, I remember coming downstairs and being kind of curious, like, wow, they finally spent the night in this new, like the new room. And I was curious to talk to my brother about it and see, like, wow, what was it like, and I was little. I was, I think I was 8 or 9. and my brother, Reynard, like, looked at me and looked at my dad as we were in the kitchen, like, as he's coming in the back door, and he's like white as a sheet. He's like, he looks like he just, like he just seen a ghost, basically.
Yeah.
And he began to recount that he woke up in the middle of the night, like from a start, and he was wide awake and saw a pitchfork come directly at his head. Yeah. And it like came at him and he's like, ah, he like kind of got scared and then like realized it wasn't a real pitchfork, but it was like it felt like it was. Like felt like he was about to die. And he was like just totally scared. My dad was like comforting him and was like, it's okay. God,
so it was a ghost pitchfork that came at his head?
Yeah. It was like a ghost pitchfork that he was awake to see because he woke up out of a start. Like he woke up scared for some reason. Like he heard something. In any case, we come to find out, we talked to our neighbor like that later that afternoon, who then told us that the previous owner of the house committed suicide back there. in the garage.
No way.
Yeah, did the old like parked his car in there, and
what did he do? Gas himself or shoot
monoxide,
himself?
Yeah,
Carbon monoxide.
Yeah, and we could draw no other conclusion than there was like this paranormal visit from that spirit that had committed suicide back there.
Weirdly, it seems when someone commits suicide somewhere, that's when the ghost occurs. They hang around.
Yeah.
You got some kind of unresolved thing.
Yeah. And now my parents are very spiritual people, so they went back there and did a whole like cleansing of lit some incense and,
You know, we were just talking about that at the Comedy Store. The comedian that jumped off the roof of the Hyatt next door.
Wow.
Yeah, back in 1979 after the strike, he just jumped off the roof. He was mad because he wasn't getting the slots that he wanted to get. And he was mad at Mitzi. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Apparently. And he jumped off 14 stories and killed himself, landed in the parking lot there. And apparently he still haunts the place.
Oh my God.
And his girl, he left a note. And the note said, I used to work at the Comedy Store. Something like that.
Wow. That's amazing.
That's
amazing. And that anger, that depression, whatever, it hangs around. That's the only thing we could.
So they brought somebody into the Comedy Store, I guess, to exorcise some of the ghosts. And they had, I guess, they kind of said, it's okay for you to leave now.
I think
and
it's
a lot
fair
of
to
them
say
left.
it feels haunted in there, kind of.
Doesn't it though?
It really does.
I feel like that. I mean, it doesn't help that all the walls are painted black.
It has a haunted feeling.
But it does have, in all the different corridors and things like that.
Yeah.
There's weird little spaces that you don't know about unless you're a comedian, and then you go down there.
It's very unique. It's a unique feeling in that way.
It's a lot like the Magic Castle.
Yeah.
That has that same kind of feel with all these corridors and different places and this really like committed membership, comedians are really committed to being comedians.
You're
magicians,
you're deep in
same.
the layers there. Yeah. It's resonant.
A lot of disturbance.
Yes.
At the Comedy Store, or no, at the Magic Castle, one of the magicians before a show hung himself in the green room. And this was like 2 years ago.
Oh my God.
And we were like, oh my God, it's horrible. It's horrible. But I was there maybe a couple of days later, and I was taking magic classes, and I was talking to one of the magicians there, and he was like, he hung himself. I thought, I didn't even want to bring it up. But he's like, boy, I wish I had thought of that. That's kind of the way they were. They were kind of like, wow, man, that's the ultimate, man. To kill yourself in the magic.
Oh, dude.
And then you haunt the place. Now he gets to be the ghost of the Magic Castle.
Wow. Dang, just superstar. You got
so
it.
Dark.
That's a gangster move. One must acknowledge.
Okay, so what have we learned? Don't kill yourself, because you're going to end up, you don't go anywhere. You just end up hanging out in the same place over and over and over and over and over again. And, the only fun is trying to scare comedians. So there we go. I think we've explored the paranormal, or at least ghosts this week. And I feel like I've exorcised some of the ghosts in my life, because now I understand them more. So if I see them, I don't think they're going to, kill me or something. I think they've got some kind of unresolved thing, and I can just say, hey, you can go now. You can go. And Solace Empire has a very heavy question for the end of the show. What do you believe when you die? Or maybe it's a statement. What do you believe when you die? What do you believe? You believe in, it's a good question. You are not alone. Maybe that's what you believe when you die. You all of a sudden realize that there is a oneness to everything. And there is no death, because we are all just manifestations of the oneness. Just got her. Can you start over? Gladly. So we're going to move on. I had another story from Harlan, and we do have an existential conversation with Harlan that we will put on next week, that I think Solace Empire should come for, because it kind of talks about that. What do you believe when you die? That should be the title of an episode. All right, so we're moving on to dance break because it is Friday. And every Friday, as well as every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we do a dance break at the end of the show. There, this is the summary of the show. Pictures of ghosts, blah, 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 watch Sixth Sense. There you go, Jay. All right, thanks everybody for being here. Thank you for those that have become a patron of the show. There's a link on the YouTube page where you can become a patron, or I think it's on Facebook as well. You donate a little bit of money to the show. So far, Pam is a patron, and so is Gnell. Thanks, Dallas Empire. Follow me on Twitch. Vernus loves the lounge. Great to see you. All right. Heading out with, this is one of my favorite YouTube performers, Ali Sherlock. She's fantastic. Thank you, Vernus. That's sort of the form of internet applause at the end of the show. There is only the hummingbird, cult of the hummingbird. Yes. If anybody's not a member of the hummingbird cult, you are now. Here's Ali Sherlock. I'm going to play a little bit of her thing. Go to her YouTube channel. She's super good.
Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high.
Of course, this is a song made famous by the film The Wizard of Oz, but also by the great Hawaiian performer Iz. Did it with the ukulele like this.
Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly.
We survived Paranormal Week.
Dreams that you dream of, dreams really do.
It's my favorite one. It's good point.
Ooh, someday I wish upon a star, wake up where the clouds are far behind.
Yeah. It does, makes me tear up too.
Where trouble melts like lemon drops, high above the chimney top, that's where you'll find.
Have a great weekend, everybody, from Sue and from me, and we'll see you next week.
Over the